Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year at the ATX Television Festival, I was thrilled to sit down for a roundtable conversation about the upcoming King of the Hill revival. I spoke with actors Toby Huss, Pamela Adlon, Lauren Tom, as well as showrunner Saladin K. Patterson about returning to Arlen, honoring the legacy of the series, and what we can expect from the new episodes. It was a fun interview, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm Les Weiler with the TV Dudes. Growing up, I grew up outside of Dallas, and I remember getting to college, and my whole dorm was watching King of the Hill, and I'm thinking, that's just Northeast Texas. Like, that's not like is this a sitcom for y'all? And I know that the way I felt about my hometown has changed as I've grown up. Can you talk about, was it just stepping back into it and writing the same jokes again? Has 2025, the modern time, changed how you feel about country folks outside of Dallas?
So, I mean, and these are all things that we wrestle with, right? Because, in writing, especially when you bring something back, you have to answer the why now, like why not let it be, and Greg and Mike, when they first came up with the idea of, maybe continuing the show, that's been in the works for about 10 years that they've been talking about doing it. And it was, that process was figuring out, okay, if we're going to do it, how do we make it relevant? How do we make it, something that makes sense? And the show was always a little bit of a love letter to Texas, a little bit with the characters. But we wanted to be careful not to just make it, something that's just commentary about how things have changed, because we see that enough in the news. It really is more about, like what Toby was saying, how real people have evolved, how real people would have grown, how real people would have stayed the same. And we wanted to show both sides of that, so we set the show up to where Hank and Peggy are kind of coming back to Arlen, just like all of us who watch it would be coming back to Arlen. So there will be some observations about what's changed, what's different, but the show really, really lives in the fact that the things that don't change are the things that matter the most, right? Relationships, the people, the characters.
I think that was so smart to make them go to Saudi Arabia. I thought that was really. I just think that's such a really kind of not even. It doesn't feel inorganic. Right. It's like a really clever way to make them feel like a fish out of water in the world.
Right.
Yeah. The way everybody feels right now. We're all like, wait, what's happening? Right. And everything is just like freaking white LED overhead lighting and bad music and you can't say that, you can't say this, and all of the kind of the new rules, which are what? So I just think it's really a smart way to do it, and to make Bobby, to just kind of push forward, like I don't know, 7
No, so even if the
years or
show's
something.
the most turbulent the show can get, it's still gentle.
Yeah.
It's still gentle. Everyone's gentle with each other. They can be hard with each other, but there's an overwhelming kind of gentleness that you don't see very often in shows, and you definitely don't see. It's hard to kind of find that out running around in the world today. So I think anytime you can kind of maximize that kind of sweetness and that gentleness is profound.
And I think right now that's what we all need more than anything. So smart.
Sal, you've worked on some of my favorite sitcoms going back to, obviously, me being in college and Frasier and all sorts of things. And in terms of being in charge of a show now, do you have anything that you look back and think, there was a moment where I learned I will never run a room like that? Or better yet, a great thing you have picked up that you think I'm doing that in every one of my rooms from now on?
You kind of talked about that last night.
Yeah, right. Exactly. In terms of putting the room together, and the elements and key elements there. So this has been interesting, and I've been in a situation like this before. When Greg and Mike, gave me the biggest compliment in the world, asking me to come and be the showrunner for this. They were like, we've done our version, we had our baby, we wanted this to be yours. And I quickly realized they were lying. Okay. This is still very much their baby, right? Still very much their baby, which is great, and it's fine. I'll tell you why. Because when we started doing the season that you guys are getting ready to see next month, it was so great having them be hands-on, because it was so important for us to feel like it was the same world, right? And they had created rules for the world. And so my job was to actually take those rules from the world and make them rules in this world. Okay. And so in terms of, answering your question, I had a learning curve myself, because I had ideas about how to do the characters. I love the characters. I knew the characters. But there's something to be said about the people who, in Mike's case, literally embody the characters. Okay. So in terms of running a show when you are shepherding someone else's show that did before you, I do think it's very important as much as you can to make sure that they feel like they're watching the thing that they create as well, right? Now, they'll say that they brought me on because they wanted me to add something new to it, and I do think that we did that. But it was just very important to kind of learn what the rules of their world were, also to learn what rules to break, because we did do that as well, because, I think that's creative process has to be that in some kind of way, what's something that we can show a character do in this version that he probably would not have done in the previous version because he hadn't had experiences yet. So those are things.
So when you watch it, do you get to see your imprint on it? Do you see it and go, oh, that's okay? Well, I see this too, because you have to be able to see that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Hank's black son. Oh crap! I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
That's a no, I was kidding. No, seriously.
The teacher just shat a cow.
So
as objectively as you can,
right.
You go, yeah, okay.
So I'll be honest with you. There are certain, and you'll see, coming from the pilot, me, Greg, and Mike wrote together. So there, things there that are all our points of view. But there's certain episodes that came where I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to see my version of King of the Hill storytelling.
Okay,
which is great, which is still King of the Hill storytelling, but I could say it's because of also my experiences and my point of view. So that certainly was a part of it. But I think I would have been more like Icarus if I tried to start with that and not let it start with more a version of Mike and Greg's.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's our time, folks.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Nice to meet you guys.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.